Welcome to this next episode of YouTube, where the snow is here and it's here to stay. Temperatures are in the teens at night, and that generally means that we're going to have the snow for the rest of the winter. And that means appetites have increased a little bit, and here's Luna feeding on her deer leg. And it's a little cold, a little frozen. It was thawed when we brought it in. And Luna has no problem guarding. That was from Denali, who walked by, and no problem guarding food. Just want to talk a little bit about Luna's medical test. As a few weeks ago, you may have recalled, we did a fasting sample, and we were looking at vitamin D as well as some other nutritional issues. And the vitamin D status is pretty good. When we first tested Luna back in May, she was at a 34 for vitamin D. In July, we did a follow-up test of 78. In October, we did a blood draw and had a value of 117. And the November blood draw, we had a value of 145. So we feel like we've got a good vitamin D level, and she's able to maintain those vitamin D levels. We haven't had the nutritional supplements since early October, so she's feeding and getting the resources that she needs to maintain her vitamins. The other issue that we were looking at was the joint issues. When it's cold, she seems to be limping a little bit, and so we have started her on some Adequin. And Adequin is an injectable treatment for about a month, twice a week injections to decrease inflammation, reduce some pain and the pain sensations, and seems to be doing well for her. This clip was filmed from inside the window, meaning staff that were working and saw them active during the middle of the day. And you can see them, really running and doing a lot of social engagement. What we are seeing, and this is a moose eye that we put in actually in the first week of November that's still laying around, gives them something to gnaw on, something to interact with. Puppies still like to chew on things, including each other. But we are seeing a little bit of a focus on Denali, and Aiden, who is good with the pups, rolling over for the pups, will sometimes try to put Denali down into a lower ranking position and make him submit, and he doesn't really do anything when the pups come over and help, especially Luna. Luna likes to grab Denali by the neck and show a little dominance over him, and Boltz does the same thing as well. And then typically Denali run away, and then it's a chase scene where they're all involved chasing him. So it's interesting because that's similar to Grizzer, where he didn't do anything to show any authority towards the pups. And so we're going to really have to watch that pretty closely, because Denali's tail posture is getting a little bit tucked. As I said, Luna is part of that activity, but what we're watching is Boltz's status increasing a little bit. He's getting better at food defense, and in these photos, he's actually got an ear prick forward and giving Aiden a direct eye stare, and Aiden's kind of averting his gaze, and then Boltz does a muzzle bite towards Aiden. So while all this is going on, Grizzer, in his enclosure, gets the high vantage point of the den site and actually watches some of this chasing and interaction. So it's been good stimulus for Grizzer to kind of see what's going on. But other than that, like we said, Grizzer typically is interacting with staff most of the time. When he's when people are in the enclosure, he's right up with people. We've been feeding a little bit more because of this colder weather. This is some ground moose meat here, and so it is something that is given midweek, especially for Grizzer and Shadow and Malik. Luna and Boltz are still getting fed actually daily. We're going to maintain that until we make sure that nutritionally they're doing okay. But the snow is on the trees, and a real good stimulus. Lots of scents, that the wolves like to kind of pick up and sniff, but they also like to roll in it as well and scrape in it. So that's Grizzer doing a scrape towards the camera there. So in retirement, Shadow's been feeling a little bit better, actually quite a lot better. This is him trying to greet. We're filming, and he's would rather that we greeted than film, so he's going to give us a little bit of a four-leg paw, and we'll put the camera away and greet him here. And then we are keeping some straw on top of the den. We've had a couple of snows over the last bit of straw, so anytime anything new comes in, he's going to mark and do the scrape. And you can see again his activity level, and even just his alertness is much better than we saw a couple weeks ago, going into a face wipe and snowplow on top of the den prior to us putting some straw down. So we don't know what that was with Malik, or sorry, with Shadow, but we do see some improvements of him. He's feeding just fine. The water consumption, and I think someone mentioned kidney issues, and yeah, we certainly look for that on older animals. He's also been tested for diabetes before. The issue with Shadow is that he's risky under anesthesia. He doesn't do immobilizations very well. We've had some issues with him, so we have to make sure he's really got some issues before we risk putting him under a drug. So we see Malik doing the same kind of thing. That fresh snow is great for a snow plow, where they actually put their nose in the snow and push it like a V-plow. So that's Malik doing that as well. You also notice on Malik's neck prior to the last freezing, we had some warm weather. Thanksgiving Day was very pleasant, and then Friday somebody turned on the switch for winter, and he looks like he rolled in something when that warm, muddy weather was around on Thanksgiving Day, and then that was stuck to his neck later on in the day and the next day after Thanksgiving. But don't know what that was, but probably some meat. But anyway, so we're seeing, like I say, Shadow increasing his interactions a little bit. Actually, this was filmed after there was a little bit of an incident while I was doing wolf care today. Malik appeared to have grabbed Shadow by the wrist, and he's got a little bit of a favor on that right wrist, and we did start him on some anti-inflammatory earlier in the day. He was pretty stiff and sore and didn't want to weight bear on it much. By 3 o'clock, he was moving around just fine. So you can see a little bit of a limp, and you may have picked that up on the streaming video cam that is now live on Shadow Malik. But he's doing okay. And like I say, we're not certain what was going on between those two, but anytime there's a weakness in Shadow, there's Malik to take an opportunity, and so we're always aware of that and watching that and making sure Shadow's doing okay. So that's it for this week's YouTube. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.